discussion. She is the Senior AVP at Startup India, an organization under Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Shivangi Jain. She was instrumental in launching Startup 20 under Indian G20 presidency. So proud to have you here, Shivangi. Joining her as panelists on stage, Mr. Anand Mishra, Senior Director at Samsung Electronics, leading digital innovation and business transformation across Southeast Asia. Hearty welcome, Anand Mishra. Coming on stage next, Mr. Paneerselvam Madanagopal, Chief Executive Officer of MeitY Startup Hub, which is a flagship initiative of the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, which supports the growth of startups. And completing that panel, joining us, Deepali Nair, the Group CMO of CK Vellaru. She oversees marketing strategy since March 2023. Over to you, Shivangi.
Hi everyone, very good afternoon. How do we feel? Have you had your lunch? Have you had your lunch? After the session. Okay, thank you so much for patiently waiting for the session as well and joining us. It's a great honor to be here, and I think being among all the esteemed panelists as well who come with great and many years of experience that we all can learn and leverage from. So from this panel today, I'm also hoping that I'll go back with a lot of learnings from the insights that our panelists are going to share with all of us. But today on the panel, on this very important topic that we have on scaling digital transformation, corporate versus startup perspective, we have a beautiful mix on the panel, which essentially means getting a government perspective on how the digital transformation has been moving and scaling, more focused on startups. On the innovation angle of large corporates as well, that how does digital transformation works there. And also in terms of scaling businesses globally, how do we work with the amalgamation of the digital transformation for startups and corporates together. So first, when we look at large business houses, the speed, the rate, and also the methods that are applied, they are similar and also different to a very large extent. So that's where, when we look at India, the transformative growth that the country has been going through, especially in terms of digital transformation, particularly on the India Stack piece, India has really done very well and kind of achieved strides to a very large extent, especially because it's the largest human resource capital in the world with 1.4 billion people. So the challenges that come to the table, the diversity is very different. So to be able to kind of scale through that is something that does bring a lot of learnings. But I think that's where we need to understand that how can startups actually leverage on that journey, piggyback on that journey to be able to scale their own businesses globally. So that also brings me to you, PSN. Firstly, many congratulations on your new role as the CEO of MeitY Startup Hub. We are really looking forward to it. Can we all please have a big round of applause for him?
Thank you so much.
So, PS, here we would really like to understand from you. I think MeitY particularly has picked up on the Digital India initiative very well. And there has been good impact that has been created. So, we'd love to understand that what is it that has been done till now and what's next that is being looked at as part of that initiative.
Great. Thank you, Shivangi, and thank you, Huddle team, for having us here. MeitY is an acronym for Ministry of Electronics and IT, so not many people are aware, so I just thought I'll share that. We are the custodians of the deep tech and tech startup ecosystem of the country, and MeitY has multiple individual business divisions. Primary one you might have all heard is what we call Digital India Corporation, DIC. And under Digital India, we have multiple independent business divisions, such as MeitY Startup Hub, which is what I head, and we have Bhashini, which is a program for language, bringing language and technology in India as a a country of multiple languages and vernacular medium means access to tier 2, tier 3 cities and broad base. So Vashini drives that, and we have NEGD, which is the National E-Governance Department, and we have India AI, which is one of the newest initiatives. India AI, kind of drives the AI mission and policy making, and of course MyGov and other initiatives that are there. As you rightly said, the only way to kind of scale, be it in the corporate side or in the startup side, I think digitalization is something that we really cannot miss it. But the most important element of digitalization, because of the kind of scale that we can achieve through that. So MeitY, we are an enabler of this ecosystem. We facilitate startups and corporates to kind of work with each other and enable them to kind of build a very strong stack of technology and platforms and products that can actually kind of scale the whole, and most importantly, the objective is to make technology accessible to the last person. And today, we are all in tier 1, tier 2 cities where there's a huge amount of technology access, but it is also an endeavor to push it down to tier 3 cities and as much as we can to district level, so that we have a very strong digital India reach for that particular across the country. So that's our broad overview. When it comes to startups, we have two primary agenda. One is we are the custodians of deep tech startups, because tech is now horizontal. A lot of people are excited about tech. A lot of investors or corporates be part of the whole tech ecosystem. But the government as an organization, we are now focusing on a more strategic initiative which has a longer gestation, which needs patient capital, which needs people who will wait for 3-5 years for outcomes, which are more strategic in nature. That's the focus area we are going to look at, and we are already working on that.
That's absolutely amazing. Thank you. We are all really looking forward to it eagerly. Anand, we've spoken about India Stack, we've spoken about digital transformation, and I think some of the work that is already being done as well. When we talk about UPIs, when we talk about Aadhaar, DigiLocker, all of these have been completely transformative. I think we all are users of that. When it comes to looking at digital transformation from a corporate perspective, and I think you have been in this particular function for a very long time. So what's your perspective, and what do you think are the key things that we should keep in mind?
Yeah, thank you, Shivangi. So I head the digital transformation division for Samsung India. I've been into this for 20 years. Thank you for calling me over here, and I think it is one of the most well-arranged conferences that I've seen. So I think kudos to the team who has done this. Coming to the topic that you have asked me, when it comes to corporates or large enterprises, so I have worked in FMCG, I have worked in telecom, and now I am with Samsung India, which is more consumer durables, mobile phones, and I think all of you know the products that we manufacture. These organizations are having a lot of departments, a lot of people, and specifically when you look at frontline sales force, so direct, indirect, third party, outsourced, so it's a big change. Now everything cannot be done by the few people. So it's there where the role of this entire technology comes into play. Imagine a situation wherein 200,000 outlets, product is getting launched. So how do you provide the same experience to all the consumers who are visiting those stores? I think it's there where the technology part plays a role. We provide that experience in the same standardized uniform format to all the consumers across all the stores. I think that's the story behind it. When it comes to corporates, we look at three important aspects: people, process, and technology. So, and digital transformation is a combination of that. When we say digital transformation, not every time it is like that we are implementing ERPs. It is about looking at the task within those workflows and how do you automate them, make them more efficient. So it is more important for us to get the benefit out of it quickly. So therefore we always say that okay, quick innovations are important. So speed of innovation and speed to market both plays a very important role when it comes to digital transformation. That's how we take it up. Similarly, when we look at the overall information flowing architecture within large organizations, there also we look at it in a different manner. So we have a fixed architecture wherein there is an intelligence layer, there is a consumption layer, and then there is an enablement layer. So intelligence layer means whatever you talk about analytics, data science, predictive analytics. So all that comes into your intelligence layers and there will be tools which will be supporting that. Then there is an important part called the consumption part of it. So within consumption are the users who are going to utilize it, the implementation part, the deployment part of all digital initiatives. And the third and the most important is also the enablement. So tools like RPA, your analytics tool, MIS tool, ERP tools, all those tools are part of enablement. But bringing this synergy together is very, very challenging and difficult. That's where we play a role, and there are teams, there are experts who converge all these into one, and then that's the outcome of a digital transformation. That's how it happens.
Thank you, and I think that's also very well said in terms of the people, process, and tech that you mentioned. So I think that's definitely one point that I'm really bookmarked from what you mentioned. Coming to you, Kripali, you previously served at IBM as well. So from a global perspective, when we look at it, what do you think are the unique challenges and also the opportunities that exist in the digital transformation space?
Thank you, PS. Thank you, Shivangi, for asking that question. And you know, if I go back to the 5 years that I spent at IBM, you know, just before this, I think the difference in digital transformation space that has happened is that it has become the conversation of the boards, clearly. Long ago, for example, when at IBM we would target, you know, conversation to the CIOs, that conversation is now happening to the CEOs clearly. And if you go to look at a Gartner study, it clearly indicates that where there used to be about 4 to 5 people taking technology and digital transformation decisions, today about 10 to 12 people inside an organization get involved, you know, to take the kind of decisions that you're having. And they're of course faster decisions, they're not slower decisions, you know, so that's the other change that has come. However, I think inside a large corporate organization, a digital transformation project succeeds only when it isn't thought to be like a digital transformation project. It is about business transformation. It's about rethinking processes. It's about sometimes even rethinking business models. And that perhaps is not easy inside a large corporate organization as much as it is inside a startup where the pivots can happen, you know, very, very fast. But I want to give an example of a startup that I've invested into. You know, and the challenges when we look at it from their end. While the pivots are very fast, the product is fantastic. You know, so this startup is called PubLive. They've pretty much reinvented the way digital publishing can happen. And today, most traditional publishers, such as large newspapers and magazines, are becoming digital publishers, and there are new ones too. Today, a journalist writes on the platform, you know, gets an SEO score immediately, can make changes, get a better SEO score. It goes to the editor approves. The journalist can publish it immediately in more than 80 languages, thanks to AI, immediately. And the system, the platform suggests web stories, the visuals and the captions. The platform generates the social media posts for the journalist to approve, edit. And what you were doing earlier, in perhaps 4 or 5 different days, and with 4 or 5 different people, can literally happen in an hour. You know, that, and it also ensures that your SEO is better, therefore the story does better. Now this guy has 80 clients in 18 months, has broken even operationally, you know, profitably, but is having a challenge breaking into very large publishing houses, which are examples of what corporate organizations are. Most of the time, the corporate organizations look at this platform and they want to do it themselves. They're going to be 24 months behind, they're going to be 18 months behind, they're going to perhaps not even get it right because they won't have the learning which he's learned across, let's say, 80 different businesses. So I think when you're talking about digital transformation, by giving you the example of this startup, I'm indicating that I think the corporate organizations look at digital transformation very differently from the way startups look at it. I think that's essentially the change that one needs to be cognizant of, whether you're working in a startup and pitching business to a large organization or whether you're sitting inside a large organization and saying, okay, how can we change the way we're doing business? I think the question is, digital transformation needs to be seen in the context of business transformation and not just digital.
Absolutely, and I think that also brings me to the point that he has also mentioned that it's more horizontal right now than just really one focused function or vertical. So I think very well said on that. And completely agree with you and echo your thought in terms of how it's being prioritized and actually because it's being given so much importance as well and everybody's realized the cognizance of it that the decisions are being made at the top level and they're also fast because that is the business priority. Absolutely noted on that. How many entrepreneurs do we have in the audience? Can we just do like a quick show of hands? Okay, and do we have people in the audience who are perhaps looking at starting their own venture? Okay, awesome. We do have some people there. Dewari, you kind of brought it up really well in terms of there's more agility when you look at startups, but there are also challenges when corporate is kind of looking at the adoption and bringing it up, right? Brings me to you, Anand, where I think maybe linking to the Bhagi's point, if we look at adoption of emerging technologies, I'm going to talk more with respect to the startup context because we have more entrepreneurs in the audience. But when these startups are looking at adoption of these emerging technologies, what are the tips that you would want to give them in terms of meeting this fast-paced change?
I think adoption is the most important part. So if you see a lot of initiatives that are driven in any organization, 70 to 80% fail because of the reason that adoption is not there. One of the important things which I always look at when we initiate certain things is that is there a right use case? So I think one is, do you have a right use case, a right problem statement? That's something you need to understand. And from the startup community, I have been interacting with a lot of pitches which has been made to me through different forums. What I found is that one of the things that if everybody follows is know your customer, know the problem statement, and then fit it properly. If you are able to fit in, not every corporate is looking for large scale implementations. There are small implementations which are very beneficial, ROI driven, therefore they are happy to experiment and invest with you. But you need to know your customer, their problem statements, then I think the overall pitch or overall offerings that you are going to provide will make a lot of sense and it will be a win-win situation.
Thank you for keeping it extremely pointed as well with some key takeaways here. PSK spoken about the tips, things that a startup should keep in mind. But what would be your suggestion? Because while we've spoken about startups being more agile, the truth is that there are also limited resources in terms of even the team size, even in terms of financial resources, especially startups that are maybe in the early stages. What would be your recommendation in terms of how can they look at this adoption? And maybe from your previous experience, we can look at it at a more broad perspective as well.
Sure. So if you look at startups, right? So startups essentially have two large customer groups. Unless and until you are a D2C startup, if you're really selling it direct to customer, you have government as your largest customer, one of the largest customer group, and then you have corporates as your second largest customer group, right? And the essential part of startups, I can say that it's very important to start understanding the needs of the corporate, what problem statements they are putting out, how your technology can kind of build proof of concept and then build up a solution for that. And that's where today large corporates are also getting into open innovation and engaging startups as a platform. And the likes of Maruti, and yesterday we saw the Hero MotoCorp launching startups for Hero for Startups. So it's becoming a very, very important and integral part of digital transformation, business strategy growth, and more importantly, driving business continuity also. Because today, to a large corporate, if they want to build a capability in AI, ML, or if they want to build a capability in any emerging tech, it's not going to be easy to find a talent pool. It's not going to be easy to find a set of leaders who will drive that. But at the same time, at a fraction of a cost, they can actually engage and collaborate and co-create with startups to get those solutions on board. So it's a win-win situation. But what I really always suggest the startups is to be open to look at your technology is your core. Be open to explore adjacencies. Don't be very rigid on what you are setting out to do, and that is all what you want to do. I think COVID, my previous designation was Chief Innovation Officer, and I always say COVID is the Chief Innovation Officer of a lot of companies, right? And COVID actually pushed us to think beyond our capabilities in terms of our barriers, and taking lessons from there, how startups can pivot, re-pivot, and more importantly, explore wider range of opportunities to engage with corporates. And from the corporate side, it's clearly that they are not vendors. If a corporate, they are basically co-creators, and you have to kind of build along with them rather than expecting a plug-and-play solution from their startups. So I think openness is a very open innovation. Innovation is all about exploring. You need to be open to ideas. And here, very much in Trivandrum, I have a fantastic Muthu Group, which is one of the homegrown brands, 140 years plus brand. They invested in a startup in something that I was nurturing, the T-Hub, and started off as a small POC. Then they invested, and then eventually they went on to acquire the startup. Not only just acquire, but put that technology as an essence of renaissance of their revamping the whole digital strategy. So anything is possible if you are able to kind of build these bridges in a much more open way.
Absolutely, and I think also a lot of corporate innovation programs that are happening at the state level. I think KSPM has been doing a lot of those. T-Hub has done it, maybe Startup India. I think there are a lot of opportunities that are being offered through all of these public-private partnerships also that are happening. So I would really encourage all of you to leverage that, because as rightly said by PS as well, it's not just about looking at from a distribution channel perspective. I think it can be a beautiful marriage that can happen in business processes, supply chain, strategy, internal problem statements, or even external to the business. So there is an opportunity. So I think if you're really keeping an open mind, and also keeping your asks very, very clear in terms of what is it that I intend to kind of gain from this partnership, I think that's going to be extremely helpful when you're reaching out to corporates as well.
Just wanted to add on to that. So one important area is, say, for example, data science. These days, data science and predictive analytics and churn data and getting the insight is becoming very, very important. Data is the core of entire digital transformation or digital initiatives or digital processes. So in all corporates, there's a lot of need which is there. If you look at this particular aspect, which is data science, it is cost intensive, it is infra intensive, and it takes a lot of time and learning curve. Therefore, there could be a lot of help from the startups, and there could be a lot of collaborations, which could be a win-win situation, because every time we want to do, say, suppose in our company also, the iteration rate of analytics is always high. The iteration rate of the retention is lower. And the pace at which technology is changing, keeping pace with that is becoming very, very challenging. So that's where the role of startups and the niche segment companies who are working and new generation technologies come into play. They provide some innovative ideas, innovative techs, which help us to actually get the results immediately. So therefore, as I said earlier, I think innovation and speed of innovation both should go hand in hand. So that leads to us to corporates to speed to market, and that's what we all intend to do.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. Diwali, when we are looking at digital transformation, whether it's in the corporate space, whether it's in the startup space, and I think we've also spoken about these conversations now being horizontal and being taken at the top level, right? What do you think is the key role that the leadership kind of plays in kind of driving this sustained transformation? And also, we can maybe highlight that what's the importance of the people first approach as well when we're talking about digitization, when we're talking about transformation? Because that is also kind of a question, a big question and debatable.
I'm glad you bring this up, Shivangi. I think leadership probably plays the most important role. So there are two things that are happening. One is that, in India, you have a huge founder culture, right? So clearly, leader plays the dominant role in being the Sutrada for the business and thinking and representing the business and being the star that they are. And I think second is where you have the Indian businesses, where you have promoters who themselves sometimes are managing the business, or you have the professional CEOs managing the business. In setting the culture, in adoption of technology is part of the culture, I think it clearly flows from the top. Whether you look at American theory or you look at practical leadership, I think leaders are clearly playing the role today. There's nobody who doesn't talk technology or walk technology, I think, inside corporate organizations. And I think, we've highlighted the people bit, that's extremely important. I think what I want to highlight additionally, a question that you haven't asked, which is that how do you put this all together? How do you collaborate? How do you ensure that businesses and startups sit on top of each other and take advantage of what is happening inside the so-called ecosystem? And once again, I want to give an example that today you have on one side the data privacy laws, and you know that you can't share data. And there is conceptually an area called the data clean rooms that you think that two corporate organizations will come together, or one startup and one corporate organization will come together, share data, and be able to do something. Not practical enough, but there's somebody who's worked on this. This is a company called Reserve. They've actually worked on this for the last 2 years. They brought 23 different categories of data together. So they've tied up with a telecom company, with a Big Basket, Big Bazaar equivalent, Big Basket equivalent. They've tied up with a financial services company, a credit card company. They have data across 23 different categories. And that both startups as well as large organizations are taking advantage of in terms of targeting, in terms of segmenting, in terms of doing insights, search. We were discussing market research earlier, so therefore the mention. And these kind of collaborations in the ecosystem today are like to happen. I think that's the way of the future now, if I really look at it. And most examples that I'm looking at today which are succeeding are B2B, for startups, founders, and new business models. I think you will see far more B2B businesses succeeding in this new ecosystem that exists, that we've been talking about.
And I think you also highlighted a very important point of data privacy laws as well, where the draft has already come out, and India is kind of on the implementation of that as well. So that's also going to be transformative, but it's easier said than done. It's also going to be complex, and there's a lot of adaptability, and everybody, be it in large corporates or startups, will have to be really agile.
I think one agile, but that's why the earlier conversation that we were having on large global organizations. I think that's where we will look up to the large global organizations, because they follow the tightest norms across the world.
They've done it before us.
They've done it before us. And also, for example, when we were at IBM, it was not like you followed different data privacy norms in India and different ones in US and different ones in Europe. And you're the same company. So where do you have the tightest norms? In Europe. Okay, so therefore those were the norms that you followed across. I think that's where we look up to the global organizations in doing how it's done.
Absolutely, and I think those benchmarking the global best practices will also really help here. We've spoken about corporate innovation, we've spoken about, Anand kind of presented a problem statement on the table as well with respect to solving for data and really solving those complex problems at the corporate level where startups can play a key role. There's a lot of work that the government is doing. I think a lot has been done. So if you really have to look at the trends as to what to expect maybe in the next decade, and maybe Startup Hub has been at the center of it. I think Startup India also with inputs going into the deep tech policy, more focus on programs that are focused on emerging technologies when we are looking at partnerships either at the state level or at the corporate level is already happening when we look at both the organizations. But if you could highlight maybe and share with the audience a few trends that are coming up that people should keep a watch out for.
Sure. Trends for a decade is going to be a very difficult question. The way with which technology is evolving, we have no idea what is going to drive us into the future in another 5-7 years. But 2-3 things I think, larger perspective. I personally feel technology, any technology has to, is positive and it has to improve the quality of life of people. Right? I think there is something which is very critical for especially a nation like India. So from a government perspective, we are like having a couple of agendas that are very. One is technology should be accessible and affordable, and more importantly, it has to reach to these tier 2, tier 3 cities. So that's something a very clear agenda that we do. We love the Bangalore, Delhi, Mumbai, Gurgaon clusters, but it has to now go beyond that to kind of enable the next generation, next set of cities to kind of propel technology. So that's something which is very critical. And in the morning we heard speak about skilling, which is something, technology-based skilling is a very important element. Again, in the history has taught us that aspiring population, young, capable population, if not given the right opportunities, can be a perfect recipe for trouble and disaster. So the objective is to kind of look at very specific skilling programs and specific skill sets that need to be imparted, and India to be the hub of talent for global markets, and the government will very focusedly facilitate that Indian talent goes across the globe, and especially with the tech capability and the skill sets that we want to. And all programs will kind of drive in this direction. And last but not the least, there's a fantastic program from the government side which is called IDEX, Ministry of Defense. Has a huge collaborative project with the startup ecosystem. We are trying to see how we can replicate that across all ministries, all state government can be one of the largest customers for startup groups, and put our mouth where the money where our mouth is, so that which is essentially these are the 3 things that you can look out for.
Thank you, that's extremely helpful, and I think just being agile and keeping an open mind is very necessary. As long as you solve it for the masses, I think we all are safe and we all can scale. I'm going to be moving towards the close of the panel with just one open question to all the panelists. For the entrepreneurs out there in the audience who are looking at scaling their businesses and going global as well, what is that 1 or 2 tips that maybe you would like to share with them that they should definitely keep in mind?
I think my 2 tips would be, one thing, B2B. I think the larger enterprises in India are going to grow. Next 10 years is India's decade, and they're going to look for solutions which they can implement inside their organizations. That's 1. 2 is when it comes to GenAI, look at enterprise-grade GenAI solutions. All the examples that we have today that people are talking about are mostly in the personal productivity hack side. I think look at enterprise hacks, look at how enterprises can use GenAI models that you are developing. These would be my 2 tips.
Thank you.
Okay, In my case, I would like to give a tip. I think first step would be know your customer is something which is very important before now and in future. Every time it will work. Whenever startups are working, I think they should know their customer well, and then it will be helpful. Second important aspect, keep pace with the trending technologies. Like RPA was earlier a big technology which was coming up, and then it played a lot of role into digital transformation. Moving forward, it is Gen AI, and the next, whatever it is coming up. Keep pace with the technology, because this is how, which will keep us alive, which will start giving us whatever benefits we intend to. And this also helps to the corporates. So there will be a win-win situation between the corporates and the startups if we keep pace with the technology. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, my couple of suggestions would be solve Indian problems. I think Bharat, and solve Indian problem, because scale is never a problem with us. And if you solve real Indian problem, scale will happen by default, right? Because we are a large country with 1.45 billion people to take care of. So solve, and second is, I think we need to look at more patient in building your company and organization. It takes time to build good companies. Anything that you want to build in a short span of time has its own challenges. So look, these are two things that I would suggest.
Thank you. And as we say that, make in India for the world. So then let's solve for the challenges of, as you mentioned, Bharat first, and of course then take it to the world as well in terms of the diverse problems that do exist that you all are actually trying to solve and helping us solve and achieve those goals. Thank you so much for being so patient, and thank you so much for joining us as well. Big round of applause for the panelists. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences. It was lovely speaking to all of you. Thank you.
Mr. Anand Krishna Mishra, Senior Director of Business Innovation with Samsung India Electronics Private Limited. And Mr. Paneerselvam Madhugopal, Chief Executive Officer of Mini Startup Hub. Louder round of applause for his